talking about Amazon's Lord of the Rings. Did a video on it. Nerdrotic's talking a lot about Amazon's Lord of the Rings and everything that is wrong with it. Just a litany of red flags. So, we've talked on the show, we've talked on our YouTube channel about how Hollywood is ruining a lot of stuff. It is sort of crossed the Rubicon of helping fandoms now, oftentimes like Ann Sarnoff, attacking fandoms, accusing fandoms of being toxic and the like, and taking a property and sort of perverting it to their own sort of lesser ends. And unfortunately, we were worried about it coming for Lord of the Rings, and it sounds like that's exactly what is happening now. And so, if you haven't watched the video, if you don't know what's going on with it, I'll break it down a little bit here. And that is, Jeff Bezos has gone on record multiple times saying that he wants this Lord of the Rings prequel that they're doing on Amazon to be like Game of Thrones. So there's been casting calls for nudity. They've hired an intimacy coordinator and stuff like that, which is not what Lord of the Rings is about. Yeah. I think, and that's something that's very sort of salacious that a lot of people are grabbing onto. I'm not sitting here and be like, oh my God, if there's nudity, it's going to be the worst thing. I think that's just more underscores a lack of understanding with what is the Lord of the Rings project that they have going around. I am concerned because what they have to draw upon is the Silmarillion, which is a historical text, not really a full narrative necessarily, but that's going to give them creative license to pick and choose from multiple areas of the Tolkien lore and ruin so much. Nerdrotic said they can do a lot of damage, and I think that really speaks to the problem with not having a set story for these idiots to follow with Lord of the Rings. The other thing, noted Tolkien expert, his name escapes me at the moment, but he left the production. So that's a bad sign. They brought in one of the experts from the Lord of the Rings films, and essentially he just drew a map for them and then was either 86th or left the production himself. They've had to replace actors. Not a good sign for the Amazon Lord of the Rings project here. I love the movies. I love the books, obviously, as well. But I mean, in terms of adaptations, I think the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, they kept so well to the spirit of what Lord of the Rings was supposed to be about. And we are in the 20th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring coming out in theaters. We're going to do some Lord of the Rings episodes coming. I know, right, Mark? But what say you? Amazon Lord of the Rings.
I'm in, man. Fucking show me them cloaks and daggers. I'm in. I'm not usually a huge Lord of the Rings guy, but I do enjoy the movies. I think it's a fun little landscape to explore. Just don't get too caught up in the nitty gritty. So I'm pretty easy to please as that goes. You calling it Game of Thrones? Yeah, I'm in.
Don't get caught up in the nitty gritty.
Tom Shippey, I apologize, Mr. Shippey. He is the Tolkien expert that left the production of this Amazon series. That's a terrible sign for this show.
As long as it's like the MTV Shannara series or better.
Shannara Chronicles?
Yeah, Shannara, whatever. I'm in. I like those, man, with Banu Benet. Come on.
He was good.
Those were good series. That was a good series.
I think my thing is just trying to adapt it as faithfully as possible to Tolkien's vision. And I don't feel like that's the MO right now for Hollywood. You shrug your shoulders, Mark, but I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, like, that's fair. Yeah.
I think that's not really what's going to be happening here. And that's why a lot of Tolkien fans hear the stuff about an intimacy coordinator being brought onto set and things like that. That's what raises flags for people, because it's like, what the hell does that have to do with anything that's going on in the show?
People are reading into a lot of stuff. It is concerning if that connection is true and Bezos was like, we really want this to be the Game of Thrones for Amazon Prime. And then their interpretation of what Game of Thrones is just like sex and violence. It's like, you guys are missing the whole, like, those things are just a byproduct of the story, It's, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, even I personally wouldn't care as much if those things are added in, as long as the story itself is good. But they haven't really told us too much about the story. We don't really have much to sink our teeth into. So like we're just reacting to, these auxiliary things, and like, yeah, maybe there is some sex scenes and it's a little more,
steamy.
And there's, there's also the undercurrent of, sort of the trying to shill for this project now being, again, and the idea of attacking the fandom and the fandom that likes what Tolkien put out there.
Fandom.
Yeah, that exactly, that you're seeing now online, this current of whoever put them up to it, of attacking Lord of the Rings fans when they say we want to respect the lore, being accused of being the term respect the lore is coded language for being racist or anything like that, or non-woke or whatever you want to call it, which is just patently absurd, because what
was it?
What are you asking, Mark?
I never read the books. No.
What they're saying, it's the idea that like they're again turning on the fandom and OneRing.net, trying to insinuate that it's just like when everyone was up in arms when Ian McKellen got cast as Gandalf, which is a complete fiction. No one was up in arms when Sir Ian McKellen was cast as Gandalf. So there's just a lot of concerning things about as this is developing along, that I think that it's Lord of the Rings is next to be ruined by Hollywood, and it makes me sad because Lord of the Rings is one of those very special fandoms. The books are incredible. I've been meaning to reread them. I've been rewatching the movies, and they still hold up 20 years later. You should check them out, Mark. They're amazing. And the books are the movies rather not perfect adaptations, but Peter Jackson, and there's a great clip we played in that video that stole from Gary, is talking about how the creators of the Lord of the Rings movies didn't come in with their own agenda, came in with the agenda of wanting to be true to Tolkien's messages, which were timeless. And that's what I think that we are losing right now in a lot of recent Hollywood projects, is they're not trying to be timeless. They are so prisoners of the moment that it's really hurting the products and everything like that. We're going to take one more break.